Okay, this video is about electronic roulette, the interblock machines. They're $5 minimum. I've been playing them for 3 years pretty consistently. I'm very familiar with them. And this is just about some little tips for playing. What I do is I play 5 $1 bets to cover the $5 minimum. And to pick my numbers, I'll look at the last number that's played and look on the history on the board and see what comes after that number, because a lot of times the next number picked, it copies the history. Not all the time, but sometimes. And another thing you want to do is look at the end numbers on the history. See what the 18th number picked is and the 36th number picked. And sometimes that number will hit too. And also the one underneath on the second row of the last number picked sometime is a clue. And another good tip is you play reversals. If a 12 comes up, a lot of times a 21 will come up. If a 13 comes up, a 31 will come up. If a 32 comes up, a 23 will come up. And that goes both ways. If a 32 comes up, a 23 will come up. So there's plenty of numbers to pick, to get you 5 bets. But like I said, I've been playing for 3 years. I've been playing almost every day. I've been playing a lot. There's a couple periods where I might take a week off or whatever. But if you play that way, and I think the program's all the same. I think Interblock has the same program. It's probably 100,000 spins. The ball is not random. Supposedly there's I seen the patent on it. There's a random number generator. Random. So what that means is the computer will pick a number randomly and then put that ball in the spot. So that means that the machine has the ability to put the ball in a number. So if it has that ability, why wouldn't it put that ball in a number that nobody has? Or why wouldn't it put that ball in a number with the least amount of payout? That's why when I play, I don't try to be the highest paid out person on the table, because I feel like it's not gonna want to pay me $350. If I put a $10 chip on 17, it's not gonna want to pay that. Casinos don't want to lose. Casinos don't lose. So, I try to keep my payouts, like $30, $31 if I'm playing 5 $1 bets. Even that, if people are doing like black and red and they're betting $5, I got the highest payout. So it's kind of tough. I don't like playing outside bets. I just, that doesn't do anything for me. There's nothing like hitting a straight up bet, especially on a $5 chip. You pick one number for $5 and you hit that sucker for $175. That's a rush. But I don't often do that. Like if I'm in the hole and I'm down quite a bit, I will do that. I'll look at a hot number. I'll look at the history, and I start from the last pick number, and I go about 10 rolls. If there's any numbers that come up 2 times within 10 rolls or 2 times within 12 rolls, that's my hot number. Up on the board, it shows the hot numbers. But a lot of times, like last night I was there and it said 24 was a hot number. And I look on the board and then 36 spins, there's no 24 up there. So how hot is it really? If you want an updated number, look at your last 10 spins or look at the top row on the history. If your game has that. Sometimes it's just on your console and you have to flick through it. If you just have it on your console, just look at the last 10 spins, last, dozen spins or whatever. That's going to tell you what your current hot number is. And if there's 2 numbers if there's a number that came up twice within 10 spins, bet that number. Because a lot of times 5 spins might go by and that number will hit. Like I said, I've been playing this a lot, and that's what happens. But you got to notice patterns. With this game, it's all about patterns. And what I mean about pattern is, if a number comes up and you look at the history, find that number, see what came before it or see what came after it. Now, sometimes what will happen is it'll pick the number that came after it. Sometimes it'll pick the number that came before it in the history. Look at where its location on the wheel is also. You might see a 5 come up. Next spin, you might see a 22 come up. Next spin, you might see a 34 come up. So what's your next bet? Your next bet should be 15, because it's going in succession of the wheel. It's hitting a certain part of the wheel. You might have to bet neighbors. If you see it hit 17, 32, 20, 17, 32, 20. The next one might be 7. Bet that neighborhood. Go from 7, 11, 20, 17, 32, 20, like around there. Pick that neighborhood. If that's what it's doing, it's going to show you patterns, but you have to be aware of the patterns. Look at every roll. Look at the history. Look where it's hitting on the wheel. Don't worry about if it's black or red or anything like that. I keep aware of the zeros. If I see a 0 in the bottom roll, last spin on the 36th position, and then I see 1 right above it on the 18th position, there's a good chance a 0 is coming any spin, because it's roughly, on average, it should come once every 18 spins. You got 2 zeros. So once every 18 spins. If you have 1 0, the average is 1 out of 36. And most people know this. So if you see the zeros at the end, make sure you bet that 0 for your insurance. It's hard to make money on zeros. Even if you're gonna bet zeros, you got to split it, so you're only getting half because you're doing 2 numbers. That's why I like doing straight up numbers. And a lot of times I'll put a buck on the 0 just for insurance if I think it's due anyway. If there's no zeros showing on your history, 1 to 36, the zeros are kind of cold. So if you see other numbers that are hitting over and over again, bet on those instead of the zeros, because you're going to get paid more money. So this is just a little tip on the electronic games for roulette, interblock, for picking numbers. Like I was saying, it's like people will try to do dozens and columns and stuff like that. I can't stand betting that way. It's just too boring for me. It's much more exciting. You're more interactive with the game when you're picking straight up numbers, or if you're doing splits. Sometimes I'll do 5 splits. If I see that 16 and 19 is coming up quite often, they're coming up like every 5 spins, either one of them, I'll split that. I'll do 6-19 and I'll split it. And if I see other ones that are coming up often, that way I have more coverage of the board. If I do 5 splits, then I can do $2 a piece for a $10 bet, and it's still a good bet. But rule of thumb, though, is watch the board. Watch the numbers that just came out, the last 10, the last dozen. Don't pay a lot of attention to the hot and cold list on the board there, because it's not current. It's the last 200 spins, and you want to stay current because you're betting right now. You're not betting before. You're betting right now. So look at the numbers right now, and look for those patterns. Like I said, look at the history. See what comes up before or after a number. And you see a number coming up twice within 10 spins, bet that number, and you should have pretty good luck. I've been doing okay. I've been consistent. So let me know what you think. Give me some comments. Give me a thumbs up. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.